Hello, everyone, and thank you for being here for another healing journey. Today we have Michon Garemani. I just butchered your name. So sorry.
Right.
But I get Michon, introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit where she was at before she started the healing journey, and then share with us what she actually did on her healing journey to get her where she is today. So welcome.
All right.
Michon.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time with you today. And I appreciate anybody who is joining us later. And my name is Michon Garemani, and I appreciate Tanya's welcome and her time with me today. And I actually am a trauma recovery coach and specialist, and my journey has come at a cost. As most of us probably can relate, there's been some cost involved in our history. And the process of obtaining health or wellness and peace of mind, there's a lot of work that goes into solidifying those things so that we can have those things in abundance. Life before now really can be kind of separated into three parts for me. My youth, right? These younger years of upbringing and young adulthood that really I had some choice making that wasn't really great. And I had some experiences with peers and boyfriends and being in places that I should not be. And those experiences, although learning experiences, really added some trauma to my life. And being in some scary places, but moving away from those, I realized that those were events that needed some direct care and some direct healing. But when I was young, there was no understanding on my part of how that would happen, how to do that.
And I love the them learning experiences, isn't it? Because so often we give ourselves a very hard time for those decisions we made in those younger years. Yeah.
Right. And there's learning experiences that were forced upon me, and then some of my own making, right? And those are usually the two categories of life. People make choices for you, and or you've made some choices and then we go, oh, huh. And I'll tell you too, as most of us can relate, some of those consequences don't show up for many years.
Yeah.
Some show up right away and some come later. So in this case, for me, I try to do my best in my own personal journey of healing. Just I'm what I would consider a religious and spiritual individual, and so I did a lot of in reflection and prayer and meditation in my scriptures on just the kind of woman I wanted to grow into.
Yes.
And recognizing that who I wanted to be is different than what happened to me. And those are very different things. And so moving forward, I had a marriage at a young age. I was 23 when I married, and I married a man 10 years older than I, and we began a family, and we raised one son. And my husband turned to be more and more restrictive as we moved into the years of our marriage. More and more controlling, and more emotionally abusive, and the control was quite fierce, and the neglect as well. But he had his own upbringing that he refused to deal with, and they like I said earlier, there's things that manifest early and things that manifest later. And in his life and our marriage, the consequences of his youth were showing up in our marriage year after year in greater concentration. And the journey that led me on was to really understand why some people like myself can take the initiative for the healing and do that quite quickly, and invest in what resources are needed to take advantage of the life I want. And while others ignore, avoid, or and there's difference. And so I ended up in my marriage, I ended up actually going to school and obtaining a degree in psychology. And part of that was the discovery of myself. Like, I want to understand people. I want to understand the world. I want, and although that setting and the educational system setting provides a fantastic baseline, the real learning comes from people and the interactions with people and connecting with people.
Yeah, but it's so beautiful that you pointed out we have that choice to actually work on our healing or not. Couples can work beautiful if both have a trauma background, if both are working on their healing. But if one is avoiding or denying, then
yes, it was a difficult circumstance, and it showed up in the rearing, my husband's rearing of our child, right? And this interplay of I'm too lax, and he was ultra strict, or whatever it be, and it just, we had a lot of conflict, quite a bit of conflict. And so, young years were for both of us were showing up in our older years in this relationship. And most of us probably can identify that, things of our past show up now because there's this interplay of old wounds and things that still stand out. And so my journey of real healing actually came about in the last few years of my marriage and the few years right after I was divorcing. And believe it or not, that was not that long ago. I departed my marriage just 4 years ago. And I had a 20-year marriage, and I left my home and family, and I uprooted, and I myself moved out of state and just created a whole new life for myself. I wasn't going to just let this be. And a choice of that magnitude had its own consequences. Yeah.
And you can't just moving to a different state isn't going to solve your problems, is it?
Right.
If you show up there being the same old you.
Exactly. So at the time, my husband and I, we were moving into a therapeutic setting, and what I witnessed there is the game, what I call a game, the game of role play. I'm interested in healing, and he's interested in pretending he's healing, and all the right words and all the right actions, and nothing's changing. And I just, the one thing that I would like to really stress here is the role I have in my own power for the change that I wish. It's very frequent that the thought is that I want you to change. You be different. You need to, let me point out what you need to do. And it's a directive outward. And there is no power in that. There's only power that I hold for the self-creation of the life I choose and the way I want to heal and my acknowledgement. And I just have to say that was very empowering for me, even though the choices I needed to make were quite difficult and have lasting consequences. But the power, nobody could say, it's easy for people to say you made the wrong choice, but with the conviction that I owned of my own responsibility and accountability to myself, I did not make the wrong choice. And so the journey of healing came through study and prayer and therapeutic processes, and I was doing meditation and yoga and using all kinds of tools and strategies and real techniques to really help soothe my nervous system too, because I had high anxiousness and I was hypervigilant and I was really stressed. And those are fairly common, and you can have those elements for any real reason,
Yeah.
But the journey of healing, what it yielded is this quest that I really wanted to move forward to be able to assist other men and women, preferably women. I have this relatability to the women in their own healing journey, to move out of their past and have the past not be the now.
Wow.
There's only 3 states of life: the past, the now, and the present.
Yes.
And the now, I often see too many lives having the past still be the now.
Mm.
And the now is a powerful place of choice, and try and utilize that, and try and embrace that, and try and cultivate that's and the choice is always for me, always for me.
And it's also
about me.
Yeah, and it's also powerful the way you pointed out that you had that vision, or that desire to be able to help other people. Sometimes the healing is about us, but if we don't make it just about us, if there's a bigger cause behind that, it can really give us some energy, especially during the difficult times. The healing journey isn't all this nice linear kind of, it gets better and better and better. No, it's up and down. and
the journey
can fuel.
The journey is that exactly that way. And no journey is linear, right? And we see those memes of, it looks like this, right? Up and down. And that is very true, both emotionally, psychologically, physically, and to think otherwise is naive, but at the same time to recognize that will be what it is. There's power in knowing. There's power in embracing. And embracing too. I was struggling quite a bit through my divorce, and what I wanted was just the end and relief, right? Be free of this control, because the control just was magnified through the divorce itself.
And did you really feel that free once the divorce? Because I hear that often from people, even after the divorce, they didn't actually feel that free, because in their head it was still kind of
for me
there.
Completely. For me, completely.
Beautiful. So you already done a lot of healing work up
certainly
that. Yes,
a lot of healing work on my own, and with, again, a therapeutic setting. And then I wanted to assist other women in this journey. There's so much need in our hearts as women, this vitality that is squelched, this vitality that we know resides there. We feel this pulse inside of our hearts and souls, and it's begging for relief and release. We are a powerful entity, and it's not just a choice that's powerful, it's multiple choices that are powerful. And seizing that moment is the first step, right? We got to say, well, we have to acknowledge that there's a need for something. And then we move forward with the first step, and we create connections. We have to be truthful and vulnerable with our own honesty and what is really what I lack. What do I lack? What am I poor at? What did I do wrong in this relationship? Very important things to really honestly acknowledge and own. And like I said,
I can do better. Yes.
It's all about me.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times I have couples that I chat with, and they want to talk about each other, but that's where my coaching is done differently. We only are changing ourselves.
Yes. So
and
true. Thank you.
That's
what we have power over, isn't it? That's I cannot make anyone else do anything, but I can change how I perceive it, the perception, what I make that mean about me, and what kind of emotional tags are going to give other people's behaviors. Yeah, it's within. Beautiful.
Truly, it's a powerful place, and it's our human nature to want to shun what we may be faulty of, and conceal. No doubt about it.
I've done that.
Who hasn't? I don't claim to be perfect. It's not about being perfect. There's nothing here that is designed. Even my coaching isn't designed to be perfect. I think what you and I can agree with is that what the design is to do is to move us forward into our best self, and everybody fits that parameter differently. And that it has to be done uniquely with love and validation and self-honor.
Yes.
And so
things that are quite difficult initially, but I always say that my healing took an exponential kind of change once I just sprinkled some more compassion and kindness and gentleness towards yourself
upon
instead
yourself.
of pushing and forcing, it's
a lot of us want our change yesterday.
Yeah.
And a lot of us want somebody else to do the work, and then I can just have the benefit. And that is not the equation. That's not the mathematical alignment of how this works.
Yes.
To me, some of this is, I think about it in math terms. I'm a pretty big science geeky nerd, and I read a lot of neuroscience, and that's my field of passion and love. But the bottom line is that it's mathematical. If I want X, I have to put, or if I want Y, I have to put in X. And how often do I have to put in that variable? And that variable changes based on the company I keep, or the age that I am, or the goal that I have, and everybody fits life slightly different. And to realize too that we're all on our own journey.
But that's beautiful. I never thought of it from a mathematical point of view.
It's a mathematical equation. What you put in is what you get out. And lip service, let's just be candid here. I have a lot of conversations with many people who talk the talk and don't walk the walk.
Yeah.
I want.
Yes.
But, and I'm not trying to be mean or harsh about that fact of decision making. We all encounter that, what we want, but to linger there has no power.
No. But I think it's still part of the journey. So I was there. I was lingering there for a while.
No. Right. Right. But the awareness of how long have I been in my want, instead of asking how quick can I move from want into action.
Yeah. Once you realize I don't have to stay there, that's when you take the power back, is it?
Yeah, that's when you take the power. That's why the power is in now.
Yeah, I didn't realize that all those thoughts I had about, I'm just ruined, because all that stuff that happened, I can never have a better life, I'm just doomed. Everything always goes wrong for me. When I have those kind of thoughts, I'm staying there lingering, I'm giving the power away to everything externally.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. And one of the beautiful things I think about us as creations is in particular in women is this fundamental belief I believe in, is that God is the creator of all, and he has endowed every human person with an innate ability and gift. And as women, particularly, we are actually co-creator of life.
Yes.
And this co-creator of life isn't just a biological entity, right? A next set of humans upon our world, but it's the creation of new thought. It's the creation of identities. We create new identities when we rear children. Yeah. And my goal, honestly, is to stop generational trauma. It's profound, it's destructive, and my goal is to help women and men actually curtail and absolutely put the brake on the life that they have had, and have a period at the end of that statement that says that's not my life anymore. And now they raise themselves and their families in a different light, in a different strategy, in a different way of being, so that generational abuse, trauma, neglect, name it, whatever it be, that's eliminated and eradicated. It's a destructive feature of our culture and of our society. And there's many cultures that actually rest on that dominance, that hierarchy of authority that is manipulative and and abusive.
Yeah. And I guess we do need to acknowledge that in a way, because I often get people from different cultural backgrounds. It's really difficult for them to break free from the get out, because I live in Australia. I mean, I'm originally brought up in Austria and now I live in Australia. So that authority stuff even within the family isn't as strong as in perhaps some of the Asian countries. Where there is no disagreeing with the elder. It just is not.
Exactly. Right. So these issues that we discuss contend to cultural levels. Yes. And I am speaking from experience. Garemani, my last name, is actually my former husband's last name. So I still have my ex-husband's last name. It is Iranian. He is from Iran, born and raised in Iran, and moved to the States in his late teen years. His formative years were highly directive, and he came from an abusive home life, and it's culture. It's cultural that this is the way it's done. The upbringing of your children look this way. Now, that idea fits every culture, but the what is different. You know, so we every culture has a way of doing it, but every culture has a unique look to it. And I didn't know the cost of that upon my life until I was in it, and saw what it was costing me.
Yes.
And I wasn't living in peace, and there wasn't harmony. And here's a unique circumstance I'll just share with you. One day, my husband and I had, years ago, 15 years ago or whatever years ago, we're on a date and we're driving down the street, and we're all getting ready and look pretty nice, and we're headed out, and it's a beautiful day, and driving down the road. I say out loud, I am happily married. I'm excited we're going on a date. And I remember feeling that way. And his reply is, I am not. And I thought, and we're going on a date? Well, now what? Now what do you do with that? I stated my truth, honestly, and so did he. In that moment, I
like a stab
had
in the
enough.
heart.
It was.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. I had enough self-love and a knowing of my own identity that wasn't as painful as a wound as what you may think.
Yeah.
That was a reflection of his heart, his ability to bloom and grow into our life. My statement was an ability of where I was.
Yeah.
It was it was a statement of here's my place in this relationship. His was his. And so although it can really be looked at as a super negative, and it could be like offensive, what I took from that moment is that, well, my life is still great because that's the view I have.
Yes. And it's your capacity to not just give love, but also receive love. And he may not, doesn't look like he had the same capacity there.
And exactly. And that's something to really keep in mind when we're interacting with all walks of life and all people, and where we're meeting each other is nobody meets each other in the same space.
Yes.
And our perceptions are different because we have histories that are different. Values are different. Connections are different. The rights and wrongs are even different.
Yes.
Yeah. It was a beautiful journey. And in that moment, I learned quite a bit about where he is and where I am. And I actually didn't really worry too much about it. First of all, I got only control on myself and the power that I had over my own heart and mind. And I knew in that moment that was not about me.
Yeah.
That was a reflection of where he was.
Yes.
And if he wanted that to be different, he could have.
Yes.
And we tried.
And that's a powerful place to get to in your healing journey, to have other people, no matter what they say to you, to realize that is their perception, like you said, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with my worth or how valuable or how lovable or whatever I am. I can look at it like from a distance, like, is there an opportunity for me to grow? Do I need to do something, you know? And if not, then let that bounce off you or roll off you. But it's my choice what I take on board. Am I taking that criticism on board? What do I make that mean about me? Yeah.
Exactly. But there's a very valuable question that is raised here. Is it true?
Yes.
This is a question, like, if we're fed a story our whole lives of you'll never amount to anything, or you're stupid or dumb or ugly, there comes a point where we as adults, whatever your age may be, to say, is that true?
Yeah.
And to ask these, that's a simple question.
Yeah.
But not everybody gets taught to ask that question. And especially in the family dynamic, we are taught to obey our parents, and you don't question authority, whatever that paradigm is. But at the end of the day, I remember teaching this to my son, like, it's okay to say, but I don't agree with that. And we would have like a discussion on that, and creating some freedom on being who you are.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Isn't that exactly what abuse does? It shifts us from who we really are. And the whole identity, the whole purpose of healing is to renew that identity. Who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? Because you're, we can add all these labels. I'm a victim. I'm a perpetrator.
Yeah.
If someone's a victim, someone's a perpetrator.
Yeah.
That person needs healing too.
Yes. Yeah. And I hear that especially a lot of parents, they're so concerned to act out their traumas with their children, and the smallest time, if they raise their voice with their children, they feel like, oh my gosh, I'm so abusive. And it's like, no. That's
right.
It's the giving themselves labels. We've got to be very careful, I would say, with any I am statement. Really pause and check in, because they're very powerful shifts in how we feel.
And again, we're, as parents, and in any setting of a parent setting, we are creating next generations of ideas. And I am of the mindset that I want those ideas to really be forward driven. Like, let's empower our youth and our children and our families with ideas about how to really care for ourselves, how to care for our neighbor. It's like, put the mask on yourself first, so then you can put the mask on someone else. Yeah. Our world won't find healing until we find the healing here. It's just not, we are the one, and the one is the many, and we have to do that work ourselves.
Yeah. So beautiful.
So the work you and I do is to help people see their light and let that shine.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much, Michon, for sharing that.
Yeah.
Would you like to share with people where they can actually find out more about you, or how they can contact you? Or I know I'm going to put the links down below in the video as well. Maybe just
so
people are curious, especially.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I actually reside in the United States. I reside in Washington, and near the Seattle area. And I'm a certified hypnotist and a somatic trauma therapy coach. And my emphasis is in trauma recovery.
Yeah.
And connection to me, the best way is through Facebook. So you can look me up, Michon Garemani. You can find my name. My name is on this screen, but the way my name is written on Facebook is that I have the prefix of Mrs. So it's MRS Michon Garemani. Yeah. So
but the link is down below, so I'll put that there.
Yeah, so it'll be down below. I also have a Facebook, excuse me, not a Facebook, but a web page, but that's going to be changing soon. So we can add something in the meantime that then will probably link out to something else.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for making the time for us today and share your story. I feel it's like so empowering and inspiring to see, that you have been there, you have been in a relationship that wasn't right, you noticed it, you had the awareness, you did the inner work, you got out, and you created a different life for yourself, where you feel different about yourself, where you feel confident. This is who I am, and I'm okay, and I'm a good person,
Right.
Yeah. To be able to own that, and feel that.
Isn't that a beautiful statement to say, I'm okay with who I am?
Yeah.
I want everyone to be able to say that. I'm okay with who I am. Not perfect by any stretch. I don't need to be. I just need to be me and trying. And trying. What grace we can offer ourselves in that statement.
So beautiful.
Yeah. And to you as well. Right? Grace to offer both of us.
Thank you so much. And
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you.